So, Trinity Continuum all started when this guy named Sir Calvin Hammersmith decided that he wanted to test out his machine that looked at this energy source called telluric energies. And what that is essentially flux, quantum, and psi energy. Flux being sort of probability, psi being psychic energy, and quantum being, I don't have a good term for this, but let's just say superpowered energy. Hammersmith decides, hey, instead of activating this device when no one can see it, let's invite all these experts and bring them into the same room to watch me turn it on. He invites Maxwell Mercer, who is a big American businessman in New York, who also brings along a guy named Michael Donegal. Or I think Donahue, I'm not sure. I don't know how to pronounce Irish names. He is a graduate student and was invited by Mercer to attend because he's a genius, and Mercer said, hey, this might help you. Additionally, there's a woman by the name of Sarah Core, and she is an Indian lab assistant to Hammersmith, and she is probably one of the smartest people in this world. She stands by Hammersmith as he activates the machine. Hammersmith realizes the machine is going crazy, tries to turn it off as soon as possible, but gets killed in the blast. Sarah and everyone else in the room get blasted by all these energies and fall to the ground as the entire building starts to go up in flames and people start getting taken out. Now, Maxwell Mercer is taking people out, he's going back in, and he's being very quick about it. He's being quicker than what would normally be capable for a human. And what's found out eventually is that he has the ability to time travel. And he disappears at this point as he's saved most of the people there. Michael Donegal, I'm just going to call him Michael. Michael saves a bunch of people as well, same as Sarah, but they realize they have different abilities as well. Michael has become something called a stalwart, which is essentially a superpowered human with super strength, maybe laser eyes. I forget exactly what his power set is. Sarah, on the other hand, has mental abilities and is what is known as a mesmerist, and eventually is going to be called a Psyad in the future. These powers allow them to basically become adventurers and go around creating great change to the world. Because of this explosion, suddenly everyone in the world has a chance of becoming a talent, a Psyad, or a Nova, also known as daredevils, mesmerists, and stalwarts. There's going to be a lot of confusion because terms do change over the course of a few years. Just bear with me on this. They start looking for Mercer. They can't find him. Mercer is on a mystical, magical dream tour of the future and the past and all of time and space. Fights a version of himself that is evil, kicks him in the groin, and goes back about 6 months after he disappeared and meets with Michael, who is now calling himself something along the lines of Dr. Primorius. Michael actually gets a couple of name changes, I'm sorry. They've also become immortal, which is why they do name changes, because now they can live practically forever, at least these three. The other people in the room also have superpowers, but not as good as these three do. This is why they're the big three. Michael is a bit of a jerk, and he is trying to figure out how to create more superpowered individuals, specifically the ones that are like him, because he thinks he's better than everyone else. He is unable to do so, can't really figure out why. It takes about 100 or so years to get to the point where he is able to activate a device and create what is known as N-Day. Now, N-Day is an event that Maxwell Mercer was trying to avoid at some point because he realized, oh no, Michael's going to do this horrible thing, I should stop him. But in doing so, he actually causes the end of the world. He needs this event to happen in order for something to occur in the future. No one's quite certain what it is, but all that's known is Max really loved Michael. They were lovers, they were boyfriend and boyfriend. But after Max went through the time vortex, he realized, oh wait, if I fall in love with Michael, he's not going to do all this important stuff, and that's going to be bad for the future, so I'm going to distance myself from him so he does all the crazy stuff that is going to be terrible, but I need it to happen. Sarah Khan, meanwhile, is like, I'm going to stay away from all of this. So Michael tries to create more novas, creates an event called N-Day in about the early 21st century. It depends on which part of the setting you're doing, but time is a little bit wobbly here because we do have time travel. Michael essentially creates superheroes in one version of reality that occurs in 2018. He creates superheroes. All this crazy stuff happens. They use propaganda to make superheroes more palatable to everyone in reality. But basically, the superheroes become police force and sometimes supervillains, and there's a lot of fighting. Eventually, in October 31st, 2023, Michael goes on a radio or basically broadcasts that he is part of this group of superhumans who believe they are the next evolution of humanity. They're doing sort of like a Magneto type thing, and he is called Divis Mal. He says, oh, I'm creating this organization. He becomes a little bit of a figurehead for this group, but kind of keeps away from it. He's sort of like, I think we're superhuman, but everyone else just do your own thing. Eventually, this leads to what is called the Aberrant War. This is when basically a lot of superhumans who've used their powers too much and had mutations caused because of their powers being used too much, decide, hey, we're gonna basically try and take over the world. And they fight the governments and everything like that. Things look like they're going all right for a while, and eventually humanity humanity and the Novas who ally with humanity basically are able to exile the Aberrants into outer space. Divis Mal does one last FU to everyone and basically kills the head of the human side of the Aberrant War, but then F's off, never to be seen and heard from again. Now we are in a Earth that is completely decimated from war. A lot of aberrant powers are corrupting the world and creating these weird areas that cause like basically radiation mutations, but it's because Novas and aberrants have a power source that is called quantum that is very destructive to everything that isn't an aberrant or a nova. This is where Sarah comes back. She's had a few name changes over the course of everything, but she decides, hey, I'm going to try and make sure that the world is a better place, and slowly causes all the corruption in the world to decrease. Doesn't get rid of it completely, but decreases the largest ones and gets rid of the smaller ones pretty easily in her research. Now, suddenly we are in the Scion age, where a bunch of psychic individuals are awakened. They've discovered that there's this thing called the Prometheus Chamber. Sarah is one of the 8 people who run the Prometheus Chambers and is called a proxy, which means that basically she's one of the 8 most powerful scions in existence and is going to usher in the Scion age. Now, that's all the stuff that is sort of like generic. You don't really need to know this for Trinity Continuum, but it's enough that, hey, this gives you an idea of the deep lore of the game. Let's get into the deep secrets now of the world.
Once the Patreon reaches $30, Awkward GM Corbin will run a Vampire the Requiem actual play one-shot.
Now we have a race of aliens known as the Doyen. They were sort of your normal, typical alien race, and then they decided to ascend into a higher plane of existence. This was their last step of evolution, essentially. They became what are known as psychic creatures or psionic creatures. Essentially, they don't have bodies anymore, they're just energy. However, they are psi energy, which means that quantum is very potent against them. So, for instance, a Nova who has a good superpower like Energy Blast or something like that can actually hurt them and kill them. Otherwise, they're pretty much immortal. Back at the Hammersmith incident, the Doyen saw the explosion and they're like, oh crap, humanity is not only interested in like becoming psychic, they also have quantum and they have something called flux. As most races are either psychically inclined or quantum inclined, humanity has both possibilities, as well as one possibility that could probably be linked together. Now, some Doyen think, hey, we should just destroy humanity. Other Doyen think, hey, let's let humanity just do its own thing and we'll just study them and figure stuff out. In any case, the Doyen both agree to make sure that humanity can't progress any further, so they create what is known as the Doyen barrier. This stops another Hammersmith incident from occurring, which is why Michael wasn't able to create more novas with his exploding devices that he created that were similar to the Hammersmith incident. And also why there weren't any more Psyads and all that other stuff. Talents, on the other hand, they were allowed to basically progress, but they weren't allowed to get to the level of like Max Mercer is. Eventually, Divis Mal, Michael, is able to get around the Doyen barrier. He doesn't know who put it up there, he just knows it's stopping him from having his army of bro-ish superhumans. So he decides, okay, I figured it out, I'm gonna set this device off. He sets it off, the Doyen are like, crap, now we have to worry about this. And at this point, the Doyen have been on Earth, possessing people's bodies and causing some changes in humanity. There are two groups of Doyens that we know of that are helping humanity progress and trying to hinder the progression. So we're not sure exactly what's going on there. The Doyens who hate humanity have since gone over to other alien races and said, hey, there's this group of people who are known as humans, just be on the lookout for them. They're basically Satan and you should kill them on sight. Now, eventually we have the Aberrant War, which was probably caused by some sort of Doyen interference with humanity. Not quite sure about that. Maybe not. It's up to your story guide. Now, Sarah decides, hey, I'm going to try and fix the world from all the destruction from the Aberrant War. She fixes a lot of the corruption, however the Doyen realize, oh crap, she's gotten really powerful psychic abilities and she's probably going to lead humanity to ascend to the psychic plane, which is bad because we don't want to share the psychic plane with anyone. They possess her, and they possess 7 other individuals who present themselves as proxies, the most powerful psychic humans on the planet. And they decide, hey, humanity, instead of progressing your abilities naturally, which would make you more powerful, let's use this artificial method, which will actually hinder your ability to progress into these potent Psyad. Humanity now limits itself by becoming Scions. Why? How is that? Well, when you're a Scion, you can only focus on one of the 8 schools of psychic powers. So if you want to know telekinesis or something, you have to go into the telekinesis Prometheus chamber and learn it that way. If you don't, you might learn other abilities and have a lot less limitations, and the Doyen don't want that because they want humanity to be lesser. That's pretty much the secret lore of Trinity Continuum. I hope I explained it well. I'm gonna take another drink, and I hope to see you sometime soon when I do my Trinity Continuum Core overview. Shout out to our patrons for supporting the channel.